So chances are you've heard of VPNs. Maybe you even use one. And a lot of us think of them as this sort of magic bullet for online privacy. But what if that's not even close to the full picture? Today, we're going way beyond the basics to figure out what true digital anonymity really looks like. And we're going to start by tearing down the idea that your VPN is the invisibility cloak you thought it was.
This right here, this hits the nail on the head. A VPN is fantastic at one thing, masking your IP address. It basically hides your physical location from the websites you visit. But you, your unique digital self, well, that can still be shining like a beacon.
All right, so first things first, let's just tackle this huge misconception head on. The myth that flipping on a VPN makes you totally anonymous online.
You know, it really helps to remember what VPNs were actually built for in the first place. They were created to be these super secure encrypted tunnels for your data to travel through. Think of it like a private armored car for your information, keeping it safe from anyone trying to peek inside. But they were never, ever designed to make the person sending that data a complete ghost. And this is the core of the problem. Even when you're inside that secure tunnel, you're still casting what you could call an identity shadow. It's this collection of all your unique little traits and behaviors that follows you all over the web, and it has absolutely nothing to do with your IP address.
Okay, so if it's not just your IP, how in the world are you actually being tracked? Well, this is where the methods get a lot more clever, and honestly, a little unsettling.
I mean, it's the most logical question, isn't it? If your IP address, your digital passport, says you're sitting in a cafe in Switzerland, how can anyone possibly know who you are? Well, the answer lies in something called your digital fingerprint. The technique is called browser fingerprinting, and what it does is it collects dozens of seemingly tiny, insignificant details about your system. But when you put all those little details together, they create a profile that is, more often than not, completely unique to you. Just look at this list for a second. On their own, things like your screen resolution or the fonts you have installed seem totally generic, right? But think about it. How many other people in the world have your exact combination of screen size, OS, browser version, all your specific plugins, and even the unique way you move your mouse? The answer is probably zero. Each one of these things adds another layer, making your fingerprint more and more distinct. And this is where we have to totally flip our thinking on its head. The real goal of anonymity isn't to become invisible online. Honestly, that's pretty much impossible. The actual goal is to become indistinguishable. It's about blending into the crowd so perfectly that you don't stand out at all. You want to look like everyone else, not like a one-of-a-kind. Okay, so enough about the problem. Now that we get it, let's switch gears from theory to practice. We're going to walk through 5 core strategies you can actually use to shrink your digital fingerprint and seriously level up your anonymity. So we're going to focus on these 5 pillars. Each one is a critical layer in your defense. Isolating your browser, scrambling your traffic patterns, practicing good operational security, keeping your identities separate, and just being aware of all the hidden data you're creating. First up, and you could argue this is the most important place to start, is browser isolation. This is really where the front line of the privacy battle is. Just think about it this way. Your web browser is the main window that the internet looks through to see you. So using hardened, privacy-first browsers is a huge first step. But real isolation, that means using totally different browsers, or at least different browser profiles for different parts of your life, making sure your work logins never, ever cross paths with your personal accounts. All right, strategy number 2. Now we're moving beyond just the browser and looking at the data itself. This is called traffic obfuscation, and it goes a big step beyond what a normal VPN does. See, a VPN hides your IP address, sure, but a really skilled adversary can still analyze the patterns in your traffic. They can see when you're online, how much data you're using, and where it's generally headed. Obfuscation is all about using tools that randomize those patterns, making your activity look like meaningless, random noise instead of a predictable rhythm. And that brings us to strategy number 3, operational security, or OPSEC for short. And this one is all about the human element. It's about your habits, your discipline. This is so critical. I mean, you can have the most advanced, expensive privacy tools in the entire world, but they become totally useless if you make one simple mistake. For example, you're on your super anonymous setup, but then you accidentally log into your personal Google account. Boom. You've just connected every single thing you did directly back to your real name. Your behavior is always the weakest link in the chain. And that idea of behavior leads us perfectly into our fourth strategy, which is really a cornerstone of good OPSC, identity separation. The rule here could not be simpler, and it is absolutely non-negotiable. Your work identity, your personal identity, and any anonymous identities you use have to live in completely separate, sealed-off boxes. We're talking different emails, different usernames, even trying not to use the same phrases or slang. Any little bit of crossover is like a thread that an investigator can pull to unravel everything. And that brings us to our fifth and final strategy, becoming aware of metadata. This is the hidden data that lives inside your data. Every single time you snap a photo on your phone or create a document on your computer, there is hidden data that gets embedded right into that file. This can be the exact GPS coordinates of where that picture was taken, the time and date down to the second, even what kind of phone you used. Before you upload or share anything, you have to think about this invisible data because it can absolutely give you away. So we've laid out all these strategies. But now we have to talk about something really important, the unavoidable trade-off that exists between real privacy and everyday convenience. I mean, this chart lays it out perfectly. Convenience is all about fast-loading websites, one-click logins, and just using the default settings. But privacy, that requires slower, more careful connections. It means manual processes and actively configuring your settings. There's just no way around it. True anonymity will always cost you some convenience. And listen, it is so important to be realistic about this. If you're chasing some idea of perfect, unbreakable anonymity, you're just going to get frustrated because it flat out doesn't exist. But that's okay. That shouldn't discourage you. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. Making small, smart, consistent changes can get you to a place of much, much better anonymity. And that really brings us to the single most important thing to take away from all of this. You can't just go out and buy a piece of software and suddenly be private. It's not a tool you can buy. It's a discipline you have to practice. It's an ongoing habit of being aware, being cautious, and being deliberate in your actions. It's a mindset. And building that discipline, that's the only real way to find meaningful privacy in the modern world.